Hey, hey, hey. Happy Tuesday. Come on in. Pull up a chair. Gaming Gang Dispatch is in the air. Howdy, gang, and welcome once again to the Duct Tape Studios. I'm Jeff McAleer, your host, here at the Gaming Gang Dispatch, brought to you by, shockingly enough, gaminggang.com, of which I happen to be the founder and editor-in-chief. So welcome aboard, everyone. Tonight is Tuesday, October 21st, 2025. This is live show 1249. If you're not overly familiar with the show, let me point out it's super casual around here. Just hanging out, talking about the latest in tabletop gaming news. And then normally we'll take a first look at a game. Every once in a while, I might tackle a topic related to our hobby or just do kind of an AMA and chew the fat with chat. But tonight we're going to dive on in. We're going to take a first look at Dungeons and Dragons. Welcome to the Hellfire Club from Wizards of the Coast. This is based on Stranger Things. Yes, the hit Netflix series. First off, I got to point out, this box is pretty hefty. A far cry from the previous starter set that they tied in with Stranger Things. And we'll talk about that in just a bit. Of course, when you're not watching videos on the Gaming Gang channel, be sure to visit thegaminggang.com for all latest in tabletop gaming news, reviews, and a whole lot more you are not going to find here on YouTube. You know the drill. Get your geek on at thegaminggang.com. Then, of course, because this is a live show, there is chat available. You must be a subscriber to the channel for at least an hour before you can take part. It's one of the ways I keep some of the more unusual commenters at bay. But if you check off that box and you want to say howdy, maybe you got a question, a comment, by all means, chime in. I will do my absolute best to respond. If you happen to be relatively new to the show, you're tuning in because you want to take a peek at this, I do want to point out we always tackle the tabletop gaming news first around here. It's probably going to be about 35, maybe 40 minutes before we get into the unboxing and first look. Just letting you know, if you happen to be watching live, kick back, relax. We'll get to it. We'll have a little bit of fun beforehand, and then we'll get into that unboxing. If you happen to be watching this 30 minutes or more after the stream has ended, there will be timestamps. So if you want to jump right on into that unboxing, you certainly will be able to. And of course, those timestamps, depending on the device you might be watching this on, could be right there in the timeline of the video. Also want to mention, I am under the weather. It is not COVID. I took a COVID test earlier today. I just feel like crap. My voice is kind of raspy. Yeah, Ricky. No, not that bad, but still. My throat is sore. That was why I thought maybe I had COVID, because I never get a sore throat. I was like, But I guess it just turns out to be just a mild case of con crud. Nothing too drastic, but I just want to let you know I'm kind of under the weather, so my voice sounds a little bit different. Or if my voice starts giving out, so I'm a little concerned by. But I figured, hey, the show must go on. So speaking of chat, first out the gate tonight is Chris Lundgren. Kevin R. Smith is with us, as is the Madman. He is one of our chat moderators. Keithulu is here, spelling mistake. Let's see who else we got. Kathy Evans, Sean O'Donnell, Semper Buffo, Michael Berry, and Christopher Rush. I think I've said hello to everyone. And the lovely and talented Miss Sarah D is chiming in. She is another of our chat moderators. She of the glittery banhammer. So welcome aboard, everybody. Looks like chat is off and rocking. Chris Linger is pointing out that they just tested for, I remember when he and his wife had COVID, said they tested negative 4 days before they tested positive. I know. I'm going to test again in about 48 hours. I started feeling kind of crappy Sunday night. And then I tested today. So yes, I figured I would give it a little time to make sure that I did not get a false negative or false positive. But yes, if I still have symptoms, I will be testing again. Oh, I guess we'll do it on Thursday. All right, so let's jump on into the news because I've got quite a bit tonight. My friends over at Thunderworks Games are currently in the midst of a successful crowdfunding run for 2 new expansions for 10 penny parks. Here's what I know. Expand your thrilling theme park with innovation and winter lights and spooky nights featuring amazing art from Vincent Dutrait. The innovation expansion is kind of the bigger of the two. Winter lights and spooky nights is a smaller expansion. Mayor Tenpenny invites you to his office. Simple amusements have been good enough for last year's guests, he tells you. But the theme park patrons of today demand novelty and innovation. You'll find that with 10 Penny Parks Innovations. And then there's 10 Penny Parks Winter Nights and, Winter Lights and Spooky Nights. The holiday season is approaching for Fairview. In the heart of autumn, you will compete to build the spookiest atmosphere. And when winter arrives, you'll work to fill every guest's heart with holiday cheer. There's a short Kickstarter video. Let's take a peek.
Mayor Tenpenny invites you to his office, where his desk is piled high with paperwork. The holidays are fast approaching, and Tenpenny is preparing for the festivities. Let's make this season the best Fairview has ever seen. Introducing 2 new expansions for the award-winning worker placement and tile laying game for 1 to 4 players, 10 Penny Parks. In innovation, you'll construct powerful park improvements with new ways to score. Hire specialists who provide asymmetric abilities and develop special landmark expansions for your property. In Winter Lights and Spooky Nights, you'll place tiles near Christmas trees on your property to earn cheer, or haunt your attractions with ghosts to gain valuable bonuses during advertising. Everyone loves a haunted ride. Research new ways to design your park and embrace the holiday spirit in 10 Penny Parks.
The crowdfunding project is fully funded. In fact, it is not only for the 2 expansions, it's also for a collector's box edition of 10 Penny Parks. You can reserve copies of the 2 expansions for a $56 pledge. If you want just Innovations, which is the bigger, kind of heavier Euro expansion, that'll be a $36 pledge. If you want Winter Lights and Spooky Nights alone, it is a $24 pledge. You can do this through October 28th, so you still got a week to take part. Expected fulfillment is next July. And while I was at Gamehole Con this past weekend, I had an opportunity to chat with my friend Jess Carrier from Thunderworks Games. If you have not checked out that interview, give it a peek. She goes into quite a bit of detail about both the 2 expansions as well as the core game. And I do have some B-roll footage of both the core game and the expansions. Very nice. Very nice. Man says that they've had to go into the office for all IT Tech Week. Every year COVID makes the rounds. Thankfully, knock on wood, they've been lucky so far. Like I said, I have the impression that it's con crud because I did the fist bumps Even some people were like doing the elbows. So I don't shake hands when I'm at conventions anymore. I do the fist bump. I make sure to wash my hands. Some people were giving me hand sanitizer. So, like I said, I don't think it's going to be COVID. But you never know. You never know. Maybe it's anthrax. Oh, jeez. Moonrise Long. Monte Cook Games is now taking pre-orders for the latest supplement for Old Gods of Appalachia. I've got the lowdown on All Your Gods Are Dead. All Your Gods Are Dead is designed specifically for the Old Gods of Appalachia Game Master. It's chock full of the kinds of entities and items you love to put in your games. Creatures of great promise and power. An array of non-player characters who your players will love to love and possibly grow to hate. And cursed artifacts that promise powerful magic at a powerful cost. Additional optional rules and GM advice make it easy to provide your players with the darkest, scariest Old Gods of Appalachia experience at the table. If you're ready to go deeper into alternate Appalachia, this supplement will take your hand and guide you through the dark woods. And better this book than, say, pretty much anything else you might find out there in the shadowed hills and hollers. Inside the book, you'll find inspiring and useful tips and advice for running Old Gods of Appalachia games, useful whether you're brand new to gaming or an experienced pro. New ciphers and artifacts, including cursed items, which can provide players with powerful magic, but always at a cost. New optional rules for elements like rituals, possessions, and poor choices to increase the sense of dread, horror, and danger your players will feel at the table. GM intrusions designed to match up with elements like the green, the inner dark, and the natural world. Powerful, intriguing creatures and NPCs to surprise, delight, and terrify your players. All Your Gods Are Dead is a supplement for the, once again, Old Gods of Appalachia role-playing game. It does require the core book in order to play. The 128-page hardcover will carry an MSRP of $44.99. Like I said, you can pre-order it right now. It's going to be shipping at the end of November. I will also take a wild guess, probably looking at the PDF running about $18.99. That is that's my stab in the dark as far as what we will see that at. And of course, the PDF is not available yet, but I think if you place your pre-order, you will get the PDF. I don't want to say immediately, but within a few hours. Kevin King is joining us in chat, as is W Forge. Welcome. Good to see you once again. Moonrise Long, currently up for crowdfunding for Broken Brain Games, is Ragnarborg. I've got the latest. Sail around broken Midgard during the days of Ragnarok. A Viking hack compatible with Mjörkborg and Pirateborg. And interestingly enough, they list Pirateborg first on the cover. Well. Speaking of Pirateborg, if you miss it, check out my interview with Tyler Stratton of Limithron, makers of Pirateborg. Shared that. I want to say that one up on Saturday night. I got they were only 2 interviews from GameholeCon out pretty quickly. But we're not talking about that. We're talking about Ragnarborg. Because this 144-page, approximately, premium hardcover is going to be available in standard and collector's editions. And it features the broken Midgard setting. You will slay no gods, fight to survive, and pray that when your death comes, it is a worthy one. Inhospitable cold temperatures as Fimbulwinter winter blankets Midgard. Fenrir is released upon the world. Kings fall, monsters rule. There are 8 player classes: the Shield Maiden, Hunter, Skald, Berserker, Seer, Effigy, Outside, Devout, an outsider warrior. There are 6 trusted beasts, because the hunter class starts with a trusted beast. But PCs can always go on adventures as animals. This also features rune magic. Seers can use runes to cast their spells. If they're wise enough, they will learn binding runes, which are a collection of runes that create amplified spells. There's also the Soul Stone. As Skull consumes the sun, it crumbles into Midgard, causing mass destruction. These locations are destroyers to explore, but seers believe with rune magic, they could hold the key to survival. There's a new carousing table. Earn yourself a new nickname by drinking your fill. Don't worry, your friends were there to witness it all. They'll tell the tale in the morning. There's a new ash table. Loki flees Asgard as Baldur is slain to Helmheim. Bonding with his daughter, they create an infection in the undead. Once an undead is slain, their remains turn to ash, a black powdered substance that offers physiological and psychedelic effects. Ash is no longer just for pirates. They're feasting and gambling games. Over 50 random tables. There's naval combat, everything you'll need to run naval combat, including 9 new ships, events and encounter tables, new sea monsters, and the Floggeldorf tree. I have no idea what that is. Yay Violence, a critical hit chart with personality. And yes, as far as my understanding is, if you roll a 20, everybody at the table yells, Yay Violence! And you roll on the critical hit table twice, choose the result you want. There are also more than 75 monsters from Viking worlds and European mythology, 6 legends of Midgard. These legendary creators were created by legends of the tabletop role-playing game industry. Each monster includes a legendary stat block, rumor table, layer information, and custom loot items. And then there is Abbey of Ophis, Bearer of Lights, which is an adventure. A beam of sunlight shines in the distance. Set sail to investigate the only location that the sun still shines upon. Now, there is a video for the Kickstarter. It's about a minute in length, but the music actually flagged me for a copyright violation. So I am going to share the video so you get some more images, but I am going to talk over the video as well. So you want to keep in mind, this Kickstarter is fully funded. You can reserve a copy of the hardcover with PDF, as well as a character sheet pad for a $52 pledge. You can score it digitally for a $15 pledge through November 6th. Expected delivery is going to be October of next year. This is more than 500% funded, and there are quite a few different pledge levels for this also. So it is not just the rule book. It's not just an adventure. There are quite a lot of various different pledge levels, a lot of extra goodies out there too for Ragnaborg. And of course, you can learn more at ragnaborg.com, or of course, you can also go to brokenbraingames.com to check it out. Jeff Woody Art has joined us. Let's see. Kevin King says, Kenneth Clark made a point about how chaotic and unrestrained biking art was, but it brings order to the skate punk Borg style. Chris Lundgren, I think, mentioned that Vikings aren't for him. And I guess he's being harassed for that. Hey, I get it. I get it. But I'll tell you what, this is a pretty impressive Kickstarter. I have talked to the owner of Broken Brain Games on a couple of occasions, actually. I met her at Gen Con, chatted with her a little bit, and then they were exhibiting at Gamehole Con. So I went over and said hi. And we chatted a little bit. And of course, I am sharing the news with you today. Another company that I actually had an opportunity to chat with over at GameCon was Gooey Cube. And now available for 5e, D&D, and other fantasy role-playing games is the GenZicon Adventure Bundle Special Edition. And of course, this is from Gooey Cube. Here's the lowdown. A 4-chapter descent beneath Darkenhaven, investigation, dungeon delving, conspiracy, and a citywide contagion told through Gooey Cube's most immersive, ready-to-run adventures. Inside, you'll find Shadows in GenZicon for levels 6 to 8, a classic gooey murder mystery within GenZicon Citadel, where suspicion, red herrings, and social intrigue mask a Thule plot to infiltrate the keep guarding the Farthen Deep Passage, designed for roleplay-forward sleuthing with bursts of action. Darkness in GenZicon for levels 7 to 10, an investigative dungeon crawl through the Fairfell, a 4-tiered vertical descent with strange gravitational effects and floating stone islands, written to run as a sequel or standalone, structured in 4 parts for smooth prep and play. Terror in GenZicon, which is for levels 8 to 11, a balanced mix of roleplay, mystery, and lethal combats as your party races through the sewers to stop a Thule ritual that could destroy the Gloom Port and collapse the sea cave beneath the city. Playable after Shadows/Darkness or as a self-contained thriller, organized in 5 escalating parts. And then lastly, we have Madness in GenZicon for levels 8 to 11. The saga's crescendo. A nether plague spreads through the Gloomport as a corrupted confluence of the Everflow unravels reality, warped by the Thule Vistolus, or thereabouts. Expect moral choices, psychological/body horror notes, and a 4-part structure that culminates at the confluence itself. Can also be run standalone if you'd like. From intrigue in the Citadel to a citywide plague, the GenZicon bundle takes your table on a journey of mystery, dread, and desperate heroics. An unforgettable campaign arc, fully gooey enhanced. This box set carries an MSRP of $150. And I have to say, oh, this is not light. I have a copy of it. Da-da-da-da. In fact, I got loaded down with Gooey Cube stuff. W4 said they thought about buying the city box set from Gooey Cube. Well, guess who got a copy of it? We're going to take a peek. Probably not until November because we're still finishing up with horror stuff. But I will give you a recap of my visit to GameholeCon, the companies that I had an opportunity to talk with, some of the stuff that has shown up over the weekend as well. I will talk about that on tomorrow's show. So, final news piece. The second volume of the Household role-playing game is landed in PDF from Two Little Mice. And I've got the skinny on Household Volume 2, The Garden. The Garden. Some call it the Outhold or Endless Green. Some see it as a harsh, inhospitable land. And some call it the last bastion of freedom. Some strive to conquer it, poor souls. Truth is, nothing out there is like it on the inside. And it is all immeasurably vast. Too vast, maybe. And yet, if you know where to look, you can find even yourself. How am I so sure about this? Simple enough. I've seen it. Household Volume 2 is a great expansion for the Household RPG. It picks up the story not long after the events described in Volume 1. For a start, Household Volume 2 expands the world of the game, opening the doors to the garden and introducing new little folk as well as other creatures of all shapes and sizes. Thanks to this expansion, you'll be able to visit the fountain where the legendary Battle of Quill Waters was fought, Brambletown, where the Boggarts found refuge during their time in exile, and even the stump on the Dendanos tree and the distant shogunate of the Silver Blade in the backyard. On top of that, Household Volume 2 will continue exploring the history of the household after the sudden dissolution of the fragile peace. This will allow you to play through 2 brand new chapters full of historical events and shocking revelations to take your characters to even higher levels. This is still not enough for you. Household Volume 2 also introduces new mechanics tied to the changing seasons, new colossal opponents that are completely out of scale for littlings, and much more. Inside this book, you'll find everything you need to know on the front yard and the backyard, 2 new chapters that continue the household history, 4 new folk of the garden, 1 new profession, the wayfarer, 6 new vocations for every profession, 17 new contracts, rules for seasons and extreme weather, rules to manage travel, and those aforementioned new colossal opponents. The 320-page PDF is available right now over at Drive-Thru RPG for $25. No word yet on when we'll see the physical book, but at least the PDF is out now. I would love to take a look at Household. I like the artwork, for one. As we know, Two Little Mice always has really sharp-looking artwork. It might not be everyone's bag of tricks, but I like it. And I would be interested in checking this out because this is a fairly unique sort of setting. I know, I get it, shrunk down, tiny little people. It's nothing new in role-playing games, but we don't see it a ton. We really don't. All right, Stephen from Roll for Combat is with us tonight. Roger Perdome has also popped on in, as has Troy Cornelson. So it looks like we've got a nice chat rocking and rolling. Yes. Chris Lundgren's wife is running across the street to pick up Del Taco. I like Del Taco. I used to dig Del Taco when I lived out west. And then, funny enough, when I moved to Indiana for a couple of years, when I first got there, they had a Del Taco, and I was like, holy cow. And then it went and closed like a month after I moved. I was like, damn it. All right. That is it for the news tonight. Of course, I mentioned Drive-Thru RPG. Don't forget, the gaming gang, thus the Dispatch, is affiliated with the One Bookshelf sites. So if you're going to go visit Drive-Thru RPG, Storyteller's Vault, Dungeon Masters Guild, Wargame Vault, what have you, any of those One Bookshelf sites, please stop by thegaminggang.com first. Click on one of our banners. That way, if you happen to make a purchase, I get 5% of that sale. And all those nickels, dimes, and quarters really do add up and help keep thegaminggang.com around. Also want to point out right now, it is the Halloween sale. So it is up to 31% off. I think it's 30 or 31% off on a lot. I mean, thousands of horror adventures and horror RPGs and so forth. And if you've ever been curious about Harn Master from Columbia Games, the world of Harn Master, that's the core rules for Harn World and all of what do they call it? Harnica? I think it's Harnica is like the encyclopedia, right? Encyclopedia Harnica. Harn Master is the special today for $20. So there you go. Pretty nice savings on that because Harn is pricey. Yes. Ant-Man says the original founder of Del Taco was screwed out of the business by his financier, then turned around and started Taco Bell. Wow, that I did not know. That's pretty amazing. Just like the history of McDonald's. Ray Kroc, necessarily a nice guy. What was the name of the movie with Michael Keaton? I think it was called Founder. That was damn good. Spelling Mistake says harmonica. All right. Should also mention, if you like the video, give it a quick thumbs up. Subscribe to the channel, of course, if you haven't already. And of course, if you enjoy the outlet, if you find the Gaming Gang to be a valuable resource, hell, if you like what we do, there are also a couple other ways that you can support the outlet. First off, by making a one-time donation by way of PayPal, or you can become a monthly member of our Patreon. Of course, there are links down in the show notes for those. And of course, also in those show notes, you'll find an invite link to our Discord server. It's absolutely free. So be sure to hang with the gang over on Discord. I tend to pop on in every day, sometimes multiple times. And you can find links to the latest tabletop gaming news, which gets posted over at thegaminggang.com. Whole bunch of different stuff. W. Ford says Taco Bell will win the franchise wars. I'm with Kevin King. I like Del Taco better. I mean, neither one is good for you. I mean, as Kevin King says, just don't look at the nutritional information on it. I wouldn't look for that on Taco Bell either. One thing I always felt about Del Taco is you got your money's worth. I mean, they would do like, what was it? Like Taco Tuesdays. That's going back, I don't know, what, 15 years or so? Maybe not even that far. Because when I traveled, I used to stop at a Del Taco outside of Salt Lake City. I would usually grab some dinner as I was delivering vehicles out west. And used to be able to get, 3 soft tacos for a couple of bucks. Even Taco Tuesdays was a better deal. Taco Bell has always been far, far more expensive. Let's see. Jose Fernandez has joined us in chat. Copper Fox Wolf is popping on in. Might be a first-time visit. I'm not recognizing that nickname, so welcome aboard. And Dan Lowe is also with us tonight. Taco John says, those are tough to beat out west. If you get the right locations, coupons. I went to a Taco John's once, but I think it was in the East. I did not care for it. Liquid Nebula is also joining us in chat. All right, so that was the news tonight. We are going to jump right on into our first look at Dungeons & Dragons. Welcome to the Hellfire Club from Wizards of the Coast in just a couple of minutes, because first, we are going to take a brief intermission. Hopefully, Chris's wife is back from Del Taco.
It's intermission time, folks. Time out for a delicious snack in our sparkling refreshment building. Every item a fresh, appetizing taste treat.
The day of doom is coming.
Your blood will turn white. Your face will turn green. Your eyeballs will pop with pressure. Because our
Doomsday shows the living end.
Forge your strength. Take a shot. You're gonna need an awful lot when you see our shocker pictures.
So terrifying that it is easier to die than to live.
Come if you must, but make your wills. Say your goodbyes, for soon you may be up in the skies.
Doomsday is coming.
Halloween's a perfect time for baking spooky cookies. Just roll out Pillsbury sugar cookies, cut, bake and decorate, then feed them to your goblins. So much fun there.
Scary.
This Halloween, capture your ghosts and goblins on genuine Kodak film from Thrifty. Whether it's print, slide, or movie film, Kodak is the choice of professionals. Thrifty carries a full line of Kodak film, including C126-24 exposure, C110 and C135 24 exposure in regular and high-speed print film, KR135 36 exposure slide film, and Super 8 movie film. Remember, the sharper you want your memories, the more you need Kodak film and Thrifty.
Toys R Us has the Big Bird Halloween costume and the Yoda Halloween costume for trick-or-treating.
Did you put a note in that bottle last week?
Sure I did.
What'd you say?
I said send us more Wilkins coffee.
Phantasm. Is it a nightmare? Phantasm. Is it an illusion? Phantasm. Is it an evil?
You have to take me home.
But why?
No questions. You must take me home.
Phantasm. Is it a fantasy? Phantasm. Is it alive?
There was nobody driving.
Whatever it is, if this one doesn't scare you, you're already dead. Phantasm.
I remember the Toys R Us commercial, not necessarily the Yoda costume, stuff like that, but the early part where they step on the cat's tail and it's like, rah! I couldn't believe that was from 1980. I was thinking, it's probably like 1990, something like that. I was like, 1980? And of course, when they show the costumes, I was like, well, yeah, a Yoda costume. Yeah, it's 1980. I get it. I get it. So we've got a few more people popping into chat here. We have got Lord Cost 2000, Captain Infinity, Time Travel Police, Mark Hawkswell, Raven is also joining us once again, as is Mateo. And I think I might, Zero Theory also jumping on in. So some discussion about Phantasm. I'll be the first to admit I have never seen it. Never seen it. I remember I was in high school and my friend Daryl was, he was describing it to me. And every time he would talk about, like, I don't know if they're supposed to be dwarves or something like that, the little people. He'd always, I'll never forget it. I can never forget the like music that he did. He did and they be coming at you. The way he did it was like, he didn't make me like, ooh, I'm afraid to see that movie. I just thought more like, I don't know. Somebody asked what my favorite taco place is. I tend to get like mom and pop places. Kevin R. Smith says, the things that look like Jawas? Yeah, those things. Yep. Some discussion about the Hellfire Club. Funny enough, Hellfire Club, I don't think of Stranger Things. I think of British history, or I think of X-Men and Emma Frost. All righty. So there's also some discussion of how strange Halloween is to folks who don't live in the United States. And yes, I could see that. I could certainly understand that. All right. So we're going to jump on into our first look, but I do want to give a shout out to our Patreon members. At our $5 level, we've got Gustavo Cavalho, my designer friend Herman Lutman, Jason Lawman, Kuval, Kevin R. Smith, Max Apocalypse, Sean O'Donnell, and Talzek. Our $10 tier members, Dan Webb, Game Cat, Kevin King, Pete Straklich, RPG Munch, Tessie Trekkie, and Tier 2 DM, as well as our $25 tier members, Agile Monk, Flint Fireforge, and The Madman. Thank you kindly, everybody. It is most appreciated. Yes, and I did buzz my hair. Sorry. Got rid of plenty of hair before I went to game. Oh, God. All right. So tonight we're going to dive on in. We're going to be taking a look at Dungeons and Dragons. Welcome to the Hellfire Club from Wizards of the Coast. This box set is available now. Carries an MSRP of $49.99. Currently, as I'm sharing this stream, if you want to grab the digital and physical bundle, it's normally $69.99. But I want to say you can get it for $59.99. So there is that. Let's swing on over to the other camera, because here I've got Welcome to the Hellfire Club. And I had accidentally bumped the box over. Because usually it's a nice kind of transition where it goes from like that image to this image. And it's usually people are like, wow, I like how you did that. Well, not tonight. Chris Lunger is asking, why did I hate the original Stranger Things box set? It came with a mini. Yeah, maybe you should check out that review, Chris. You'll find out why. And you'll find out a lot more about that mini. All right. Before we jump on in, do you want to mention the folks over at Wizards of the Coast were kind enough to provide me with this review copy, but neither I nor anyone else affiliated with the Gaming Gang has received any other sort of compensation for me to share this first look with you. It's very important that you know that. We're also not going to look at each and every page, each and every card, whatever items happen to be in this box. But I do want to give you a really good idea of what you're going to find inside. Also should mention that the adventure in here, although I know nothing about it, I can't actually like spoil it by telling you anything that's going on. But as we flip on through, we are going to see some spoilers. So if you're a player, your game master is picking this up, or maybe they're talking about picking this up, I'm just warning you. So Chris Leonard's like, okay, sorry. I'll probably touch upon the starter set that they released for Stranger Things. Somebody had asked, Chris Leonard asked, do I even still have it to compare? No, I gave it away. I gave that away. For one, that miniature smelled. It stunk up the entire box. When you opened the box, there was this really strong stench that just stayed in the box, and everything in the box then smelled like this weird, it wasn't even like a rubbery plastic smell. It was more like the smell of garbage. It was weird. All right, so let's get rid of the shrink wrap here, and then I will read what's on the back. My understanding here is this is supposed to be the adventure that Eddie was running in the last season of Stranger Things. So, of course, because he gets killed, nobody's going to be able to wrap up that adventure. So that's what this is supposed to be. Now, I don't know if it's the entire adventure from start to finish. I would certainly hope it would be. I also don't know if they're going to utilize the technique that they did with that Stranger Things starter set, where it was supposed to be written by like a 12-year-old. I hated that. The adventure itself was like pretty much non-existent. You know? It's like, okay. Experience Eddie Munson's Lost Dungeons and Dragons adventures. One player takes on the mantle of Hellfire Club leader and dungeon master, while the others play characters like Erica Sinclair's backstabbing rogue Lady Applejack, or Dustin Henderson's battle-loving cleric Nog the Dwarf. Embark on cooperative adventures inspired by Stranger Things and earn your place in the Hellfire Club. I can tell you right now, it includes a Game Master screen. Kevin Smith says, so he wrote his GM advice from Beyond the Grave. Chris Langner says, theirs didn't smell. That's weird. I do understand that at a certain point they swapped out the mini. So that may have been it. W4 is like, spoilers, Jeff. Man, I'm telling you, you could probably buy that for $3 now. It's like somebody told me that Monte Cook's Invisible Sun, we're talking a big cube, a huge brick, ended up in like liquidation stores. I was like, what? Mike says somebody farted in the box before sealing. Man, that would have been a serious fart. Really would have been. Chris Liner says, wow, the Satanic Panic cover would terrify his mother. She still thinks D&D is evil. It is evil. What are you talking about? All right. So let's get this box open, baby. This side doesn't want to lift up. There we go. I think I got it. All right. Come on. I don't need to start dropping F-bombs here. Do I? All right. So there we go. That's all. This is all I wanted to see. I just wanted to see that. So Chris Leonard's wife rushed back. Let's say sorry she didn't make it sooner. You're fine. Everything's okay. All right. So what we got here? So we have supposed to be a picture of the Hellfire Club. So there you go. There's a picture of the Hellfire Club. It's a piece of paper. So it's made out to, it's like a postcard made out to Dustin. Read me first. So we're going to get a quick quick start guide. That's what I was kind of curious about. Is this supposed to be another starter set? W. Ford says, I wonder if Netflix gets a cut in the profits for this box set. I would guarantee they do. I would certainly guarantee they're not allowing Wizards of the Coast and Hasbro to use the Stranger Things license out of the kindness of their hearts. So collect the booklets and maps, punch out the tokens, retrieve the character sheets, sort the cards. So this is an ongoing game. So this is just giving you a quick breakdown of D&D. Giving you a breakdown of the components. So at least this has a lot of stuff. That was one of the things with the starter set that they did with 5e, there was nothing in the box. Ken is with us in chat. Welcome aboard. Okay, so we've got a play guide. We've got The Vanishing Gnome, Scream of the Crop, Ballad of the Rat King. We actually got a few of these. There's another one in this box, if I can actually get it out without tearing it. Devil Metal Die. It's like we've got handouts. We got the character sheets. So the components are very, very similar to that starter set as far as what's included in here, and actually the way this is put into the box. These are our game maps. And this was the same thing we had with the new starter set. As I pointed out, if you checked out my review for the new edition of Dungeons and Dragons starter set, until we got to the adventure, I was like, man, this is really well done. It was very, very nicely done. And then it's completely fumbled with an absolute disaster of adventure content, at least in my opinion, especially to keep on the Borderlands is just like, oh, look, it's fetch quests. Nice. All right, so we're going to get into this other stuff. I don't think we're going to look at every one of these adventures. You also want to keep in mind that Wizards of the Coast are not big fans of content creators sharing too much of a look at what's in their books and boxes and such. So I'm also, to help alleviate some of that, I'm going to leave my hand on top of parts of the pages. So we've got our credits to start off with. So a lot of folks worked very hard to bring this to life, so give some credit where credit is due. Welcome to Adventure. Dungeons and Dragons is a cooperative game in which a group plays together to tell fun and exciting fantasy stories facilitated by a player who assumes the role of Dungeon Master or DM. Imagination and chance determine the fate of the player's characters and their adventures. So this is going to familiarize us with some of D&D's fundamentals. So we're going to get a breakdown of components. So magic item cards, spell cards, the character sheets, giving us breakdown on that. I am going to be skipping pages too. Please keep that in mind. Talking about how to roll a D20 test. Kevin R. Smith is rocking on out. See you tomorrow, Kevin. Hopefully. Have a good night. Saving throws, advantage, disadvantage. If you're unfamiliar with Dungeons and Dragons, I'll be the first to tell you I am not going to walk you through it in this video. Nope. It's, as a player, the core mechanics are super easy to wrap your head around. Roll a 20-sided die. You're looking to roll high. Meet or exceed a target number. Meet or exceed an armor class. As you can see, this is saddle stitched because there's stitching right there. So that is going to hold up better than just a couple of staples or 3 staples punched through it. Our work looks all right. So is this a glossary? I bet you this is a glossary. Yep, there you go. Rules glossary. Ability checks, allies, area of effect, armor class, bonus actions, burning. Looks very similar to the approach in the new starter set, which once again, as I pointed out, I liked it. The rules presentation, everything else, I liked it quite a lot. All right. So there you go. There is our play guide. What did we clock in? About 30 pages? 31 to be precise. Some handouts. Once again, not going to show you them all. Give you an idea. Missing. There's a reward. Agile Monk is with us. Coco B is also hanging out by the golden rod. Nostalgia is strong with this one. And it looks as if we have got character sheets for the first 3 levels. So here is Dustin's character. This is Nog the Dwarf. Once again, this is something that we saw in the starter set. We had the character boards, not character sheets, but we had character boards because we had cards for a lot of the items and spells and such. And we had a board for each level. So there you go. There you have it. So there's second level. And then third level. Then we have a character from Lucas. We have a character from Mike. A character for Will. And then a character for Erica. Funny enough, the last season of Stranger Things, when they're playing D&D and Erica rolls the 20-sided die, and it's like, just like slow motion bouncing across the table. I was like, give me a break. It's like, come on, just roll the damn die in regular speed. Yes. I think I said hello to Agile Monk. Agile Monk is with us. All right. Let's take a look we'll take a peek at a couple of these adventures. There are 4. And for that starter set, there were 3 books. But I will tell you, I can see the page count in these is going to be much shorter. We got the Vanishing Gnome. Give you the adventure background. There is a bit of a sheen on the paper stock. Decent paper stock on these as well. We've seen that with this Dungeons & Dragons 2024, which I definitely appreciate. 5e books. There were some 5e books that paper stock was mighty, mighty thin. Adventure background. Flizzlebin, the Vanishing Gnome, tests the mettle of would-be heroes in dangerous games of hide-and-seek in dungeons throughout the land. Over the years, the elusive gnome has magically contacted countless travelers, but few have accepted his quests, and fewer have completed them. Successful seekers have emerged from these dungeons with priceless treasures and pockets brimming with gold. Recently, Flizzlebin vanished to the Dungeon of Shadows, a maze that borders a gloomy, monster-infested realm. There he calls to adventurers, awakening a foul creature, a spawn of the demon lord Demogorgon. As Flizzlebin eagerly broadcasts his quest, the ravenous demon stalks the dungeon, complicating the gnome's game and endangering all who seek him. And this is for first-level characters. W. Forge is asking, which is better, though, Stranger Things or the Heroes of the Borderlands? Well, this is the first peek I have had at this. I have reviewed Heroes of the Borderlands. I would think if you are a big fan of Stranger Things, you might steer towards this. If not, you might want to steer towards Heroes of the Borderlands. In my opinion, I think the adventuring in Heroes of the Borderlands needs a lot of tweaking. At least, from my table, I would look at it that way. All depends. All depends on what you're looking for as far as your adventures. So, some people want more action. They want a bit more of, I don't want to say mature, but more like adult themes and stuff like that. You are not going to find that in either Heroes of the Borderlands, or I would take a guess in this either. This strikes me, well, right here, it's 12 and up is what we're looking at. Okay, so we've got that. We've got Scream of the Crop. Let's take a look at Ballad of the Rat King. Corax the Cunning. I have a cunning plan, me lord. Was once an adventurer and a musician who inspired his companions through song. But Corax's greed outweighed his heroism. Wouldn't that be Corax's greed? Outweighed his heroism? A request became a potential heist, an opportunity for Corax to steal from his fellow adventurers or the folk who sought their aid. Eventually, Corax's treachery was revealed. His betrayed companions ousted him, reclaimed what stolen wealth remained, and set off without him. Does he end up turning into a rat? Or does he become like the Pied Piper? So here are some of the maps that we're going to have bigger foldouts of, like Oakshore Docks. Oh, there we go. From the ice cream place. Chris is pointing out this one does have a GM screen, which the starter set did not. And a lot of people were very surprised by that we did not see even just the landscape, which is, I think, what we get in this box. But I think the starter set probably gives you more pawns than we might get in this. That artwork's pretty cool. These mutated rats. All right. And then we have Devil Metal Die. Even though these are saddle stitch, I could see these getting beat up pretty easily at your game table. Just because, funny enough, as long as those maps with the old TSR modules, as long as the exterior covers are in good shape, those modules actually still hold up, being as old as they are. Right, so these are the booklets, our character sheets, our handouts. Now we've got our maps. Got our tokens. The tokens are black and white. That's kind of interesting. Then we'll have our I almost said GM, our DM screen. Chris Leonard says they look worn already. Right, but that's just the design of what they're supposed to look like. All right, so we've got 3 of these. One looks like this is a poster. Maybe it's dual-sided. Yeah. There we go. Ah, there we go. Here's Gray Hawkins. I like that. That's kind of cool. Okay. And then we've got these. So this was that. I think these were the docks. Yep. Oakshore Docks. So 4 panels by 2. 5-foot squares. So not bad. The paper is treated. Then we got another one here. This looks like Lower Levels of Hell. Keith McGrath and J-Man are with us in chat. This is the Hellfire Dome. 2 men enter, 1 man leaves. in the Hellfire Dome. We don't need another hero. Okay, so we have some standees for our main characters. Of course, as I always point out, when we have standees and they got these little slotted stands, if you have plastic stands, use those. These things tend to tear up the standees. So we got 2 sheets of these. They are double-sided with the same image on the back as the front. Yes. So there's that. We have got our cardstock tossed in there. Here's our Game Master screen. See what we've got here. So it is landscape. It is 4-panel. We've got our conditions, our actions, improvising damage, concentration, cover, skills, typical difficulty classes, and then a little map of Grey Hawkins. Chris Langner says they prefer the tokens in the Borderlands set better. Yeah, because they're color, for one. We got the combat tracker pad, which we saw also in the starter set. We've got fairly decent insert here. 2 little decks of cards. These are going to be grayscale as well. Got our set of dice with the 4 6-sided dice. Very cool. I was talking to somebody at Gamehole Con, a publisher, and they were talking about doing dice sets for an upcoming game that they're going to be releasing. And I said, hey, can I give you a word of advice? I was like, include 4 6-sided dice. At least 3. I said, because the reality is any role-playing game that uses 6-sided dice is going to utilize more than 1. W4 asks, what's the quality of the Game Master screen? Typical thickness. Solid. This should hold up. All right. So we got the dice. I think it's the same exact dice that we had in the starter set. I think we had a set of red dice, if I remember right. Okay, real quick, we'll take a peek at some of these cards, and that will be it. All right, come on. Now you're thinking, geez, Jeff, it's got a pull tab. Why don't you just use the pull tab? Because 9 times out of 10, they don't work. And then they sit there just trying to, because for one, I don't keep long nails. So Chris Leonard asks, what's with WotC always using red dice in its starter boxes? Just what they have produced for them. They used to, I don't think they, maybe they still do. I don't know. They used to produce sets of dice, which were in step with the current adventure book that'd be out. So like Rime of the Frost Maiden. That's a cool set of dice. It's a nice kind of like icy blue. It's very cool. All right, come on. There. So this is gear, or at least magic gear. So we've got adamantine armor. Give us a breakdown there. Cap of vanishing, flame tongue, pipes of pestilence. So I guess that NPC does become kind of the Pied Piper. Because I'm taking a guess they're using that. Keith McGrath says, I think the Essentials kit had special looking dice. I think they had blue dice, if I remember right. Potion of Healing, Speaking Stones, Spike Shield. So we got those. Then we got spell cards. Quite a lot of these, actually. Aid, Bless, Burning Hands, Cure Wounds, Divine Smite, Druid Craft, Jump, Mage Hand, Melf's Acid Arrow, Searing Smite, and of course, you're going to get all your info there. So quite a few of these. There's probably about, I'd take a guess, maybe 35. This is more along the lines of about 20, 25. So there you go. And then monster cards. I'm guessing this will be like black and white too. And I'm going to take a guess that the reason why it's black and white is because it's trying to capture the feel of D&D from the like mid 80s. Doesn't the last season of Stranger Things take place in like 86? Something like that. All right. So it looks like we got some player aid cards. Tell you what to do on your turn and your actions for these. Oh, we got 5. There we go. And yes, they are black and white as far as the artwork. So that's showing us what the token looks like right there. Then we get the stat block. And a good number of these. Commoners, Cultist of Demogorgon, a Demo Dog, Flizzlebin, damn you, Flizzlebin. You went bad. Let's see, does he have the Pipes of Pestilence? Do not see it. Do not see it. Well, here it says he's, oh no, wait. Flizzlebin's the one that has the contests. I'm thinking it's the one that was Corvex or something like that. He's going to be the one. And we do have different color backgrounds on these. I wonder if they're based upon the challenge rating, maybe. Here you go. Here, Corix. Here's the one who I bet you has the Pipes of Pestilence. Yep. Entrancing Pipes. Your traits, bonus actions. We've got a Medusa in here. I have to say, the line art's really nice. Keith McGrath says they like how big these NPC cards are. Yeah, these are along the lines of being tarot card size. They're a little taller. Okay, so that would normally be your tarot card like this. They tend to be a bit narrower, about this height, but they would be narrower. And cardstock is solid. Very nice. These should hold up nicely because you're not going to shuffle them. That's what beats up cards, is having to shuffle them up. So there you go. So we've got that. And did this come out of here? No, I think it's underneath there. All right, come on. Kind of a tight squeeze in this box, I must say. Yep. There we go. So those go in there. We've got that for tokens. Speaking of, we'll put those back in there here. We have got our Game Master screen. Honestly, I wish there was a Game Master screen in the starter set. That would have, I would have bumped my review score about a half point with that. I mean, I didn't hate the starter set. Like I had pointed out, if you haven't checked out my review, I talk about how, hey, you know, Honestly, it was like if I had just given the review score on everything but the adventures, it'd been like a 9 or 10. Just with like that, it was the adventure that brought it down. Okay, so Chris Lundgren says, Jeff, humor them and let his wife know, why did I not like the original Stranger Things starter set? So if memory serves, well, I'll tell you what, let's finish taking a peek at this and then I'll talk about that. Anyway, once again, Wizards of the Coast did provide me with this review copy, but neither I nor anyone else affiliated with the Gaming Gang received any other sort of compensation for this first look tonight. Keep that in mind, please. I will have a review of Welcome to the Hellfire Club in the not too distant future. I'm going to do my best to get a review of this out before the end of the month. I don't have to race with this because it's already out there. I fall into the category of reviewers that Wizards of the Coast doesn't want to get stuff in their hands before it goes out on sale, because I tend to tell you what it's really like, as opposed to, oh, it's great. This is the greatest Dungeons and Dragons release until the next one comes out. But just taking a peek here, looks pretty good. Does look pretty solid. Okay. So the question becomes, what did I dislike about the Stranger Things D&D starter set that came out a few years ago? I think the better question would be, was there anything in it that I liked? Because for one, there wasn't really anything in it. And it was, if memory serves, it was the same price as the original 5e starter set, as well as the Essentials kit, which was another starter set, just with different monsters and a new adventure, but it was still a starter set. And those adventures had quite a bit of gaming built into them. So if you had the starter set with, I'm trying to remember the adventure now. Damn, why can't I remember? I don't know. Geez, it's not like I don't look at like hundreds of role-playing game releases in a year. And then, was that Stormwreck Isle was the Essentials kit? Walona's Cave is joining us. Good to see you. And you could go from first to third. Lost Mines of Fendelver. Thank you. Thank you very much, W Forge. Those two adventures had a good amount of content to them. So you were going to, as a dungeon master, you would be able to provide a good amount of entertainment to your players for a few sessions. Certainly not the case with the Stranger Things starter set. I could see the little adventure that was included in that. You could rock through that in a session, maybe two. It was very dummied down. And I get it. The whole premise was, oh, yeah, this is the adventure that they're playing. Yeah, but you know what? I don't want something that, is supposed to be a starter set as an introduction to a game, and it looks as if a 10-year-old or 12-year-old wrote it. I don't know. I thought it was just a cash grab, and a very poor one at that. Luna's Cave asks, what do I think of the WIFRIP 5e announcement? I will say I'm disappointed that my friends over at Cubicle 7 Games didn't reach out to me and let me know. Who broke the news? Wasn't it Wargamer? Which they've done interviews with Dom in the past. I don't know. To me, I kind of feel like, okay. Wargamer mainly focuses on miniatures gaming it skews heavily Games Workshop. They do Dungeons and Dragons, stuff like that. And yes, I know they've shared news from Cubicle 7 Games about role-playing games in the past. Normally those that are built on IPs from Games Workshop. But it's kind of like, I'm really tight with the folks. At least I feel I'm really tight with the folks over at Cubicle 7 Games. So I was kind of disappointed, not necessarily that they didn't give me an exclusive. I don't expect that. But they didn't even give me a heads up. So I stumbled across it just like everyone else stumbled across it by someone making reference. W4 asks, anybody think it's too soon? I don't know. It's possible that Games Workshop is kind of nudging Cubicle 7 along to release a new edition. That could have something to do with it. I also saw that they're not going to be abandoning the D100. So it's going to remain the D100, unlike Old World, which I can't wait to get a chance to see those when the physical books come out, which uses a D10 system. And people are telling me they like it. And the reason why is because I think one of the things that holds back Warhammer Fantasy Roleplay with some people is there is a complexity there, and it is a complexity that they're not used to. So even coming from a game that is percentile based, like RuneQuest or Call of Cthulhu, anything that uses basic role playing, anything that uses a percentile system as a whole, there are some intricacies of Warhammer Fantasy Roleplay, like the success levels and the critical hits, critical failures based on the numbers on the dice. Not necessarily, well, I rolled over or below something, that's a critical hit. So there's a lot of things that are kind of different, but there are also some things that I think with a new edition, they can kind of clean up and they can incorporate into the core rules, like Winds of Magic. There's a lot of cool stuff in Winds of Magic as far as the magic system, like optional rules, as opposed to the magic system that's in the core WFRP that a lot of people dislike. I think it's fine, but then again, I wouldn't play a caster in WFRP. I would probably play something along the lines of like maybe a witch hunter or probably a rat catcher. I like the rat catcher. It's a cool, you get the vicious little dog to start off with. It's awesome. So yes, I do think it's kind of weird, as Copper Fox Wolf points out. Seems odd to release Warhammer Fantasy Roleplay 5th edition and the Old World in the near future. If you want to get a better feel for why Cubicle 7 Games released the Old World, I did interview Dominic McDowell at Gen Con. We talked a little bit about that and how, because with the miniatures game, it's taking place at a different time than Warhammer Fantasy Roleplay. So you didn't have that natural carryover between both games as you would with the Old World, because I guess that's when the Old World is set for the miniatures game. I almost said Age of Sigmar, but no, that's a completely different miniatures game and role-playing game as well. Raven says, yes, they mentioned they're going to use the magic rules from Winds of Magic. So right there, that is an improvement. Well, hopefully most people will feel that it's an improvement. Madman says they received their copy of Starfinder Alien Core today. Looking forward to reading through it. I received the latest wave of Paizo releases while I was gone. As I had mentioned earlier in the show, I actually got a ton of stuff from Gooey Cube. I got other things from Gamehole Con, from other publishers. I had, of course, Welcome to the Hellfire Club arrive while I was gone. I had the Paizo releases for November. They're supposed to hit stores November 5th. That package arrived. And I also got a package from our friends over at Free League Publishing. So if you're curious what's going on the rest of the week, as long as I feel as well as I do now and I don't feel worse, tomorrow we're going to take a look at Treat and Trick from Adventure Week Games. I also have some maps we're going to take a peek at. And the reason we're going to take a look at something that's fairly short is because tomorrow I will also give you my recap of my trip to Madison, Wisconsin for Gamehole Con. And then on Thursday, we're going to take a look at the Vaesen starter set from Free League Publishing. I will say it's kind of light. This is kind of light. Not as light as the... give me a minute here. All right. I think the Tales from the Loop starter set was a bit lighter. Does look like we've got a good amount of content in the Vaesen starter set. And once again, falls right into our whole Halloween theme, right? Our horror theme. So does this. And I've got the other new books. So I've got the revised rule book, which I got to be honest, I don't think we're going to take a look at. Because there isn't that huge a change in a revised rule book. They've just kind of streamlined some of the rules. Not a ton, as far as I know. So I don't think we're going to do a first look. In fact, I'll tell you what. If you want me to do a first look video of the Vaesen core book, let me know down in the comments for this video. And if you don't want me to do a first look video, if you don't feel the need for it, let me know. Keith McGrath asked me if I ever reviewed Symborum. Yes, I have. And then that kind of easily segues into something that I think a lot of people forget. We also have written reviews of the Throne of Thorns adventure campaign Sammy did over on thegaminggang.com. And that's why I tell people, like, at the end, it's like, oh, and be sure to visit thegaminggang.com for news and reviews you aren't going to find here on YouTube. That's a prime example. So I have reviewed the core book. I have reviewed some of the supplements, but Sammy reviewed the adventure campaign, just like she reviews Age of Sigmar releases. So Agile Monk says, please do the Vaesen core book. Like I said, put it in the comments section, not in chat. Tonight, I don't have a giveaway. I don't have a giveaway for you. I don't have a giveaway for Welcome to the Hellfire Club, but I'll tell you what. I will look into doing a giveaway for the starter set for Vaesen when I do the show on Thursday. So, yes. And I've got plenty of stuff for us to look at all the way through November. So we will not be hurting for any content. That is for sure. Keith McGrath says, do both core and starter set. I might, depending on how long it takes us to get into the starter set, I might do the core book at the same time. And we just won't focus too heavily on it. I'll try to find out what some of the changes are. Maybe we can take a peek. As far as I understand, like I said, I don't think they're wholesale changes, because the revised book is still compatible with everything that's come before. Basin is not a very rules, I shouldn't say very. Basin is not a rules-heavy role-playing game in the first place. It is rather lightweight. So I can't imagine them making huge, massive changes to it. All right. So that is it for this time out. If you like the video, by all means, give it a quick thumbs up. Yes. Subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. And if you do subscribe, don't forget, ring that bell. Because, gotta say, it'll not only let you know when the dispatch streams live Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday evenings right here on YouTube at 7 p.m. Central, where we take a first look at different games such as tonight's Welcome to the Hellfire Club for D&D. It'll also inform you when I share other videos, such as my recent review of High Noon at Midnight from Monte Cook Games for the Cypher system. And of course, when you're not watching videos on the Gaming Gang channel, be sure to visit thegaminggang.com for all the latest tabletop gaming news, reviews, and a whole lot more you will not find here on YouTube. I just said that. If you're watching live, thank you very much. If you watched live and took part in chat, bigger thank you, tip of the cap to you, because not only are you keeping me company, you're also keeping each other company as well. But of course, I know a lot of folks out there, they don't have an opportunity to watch live. Doesn't matter if you're watching live or on Memorex. Thank you very much for taking time out to watch any of the over 2,300 videos here on the Gaming Gang channel. Yay. Everybody enjoy the rest of your morning, afternoon, evening, whatever time of day it is in your neck of the woods. Once again, tomorrow we're going to take a look at Trick and Treat, or maybe it's Treat and Trick from Adventure a Week Games. Once again, I'm Jeff McAleer. Thank you very much for watching. And as always, I certainly hope each and every one of you gets to enjoy plenty of great gaming with your gang.